I am absolutely thrilled to be here. I'll draw your attention to this on all of your tables. Please take it with you. It celebrates your university and some quick facts for you. I want to acknowledge our Chancellor who is here today, Dr. Susan Dyer Knight. Give a wave, Chancellor. Iris Petton, the chair of our Board of Regents, who hired me, by the way. Also Kathy Duke, who is a member of our board and CEO of Destination St. John's, our vice chair, Kathy. I'm thrilled to have two of my amazing vice presidents here today, Kent Decker and Mark Abrams. You know, I'm going to show this today about getting to know you, and it's more kind of focused on things I do, but I don't do anything without a strong, amazing team. And to all of the Mun people who are here who came to support me, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm thrilled to be here today. So I thought I'd tell you a story about how a girl who grew up in Labrador became president of Memorial during a pandemic. Now, I don't know who cut those bangs, but they needed glasses, right? I might have done them myself. I have no idea. And I want to tell you a story about how I've been getting to know you, how I've been getting to know our university and our province since I came back. So as was mentioned by Larry, I grew up in Labrador City. Came from a mining family. Both my grandfathers were miners, and my mom told me, she was here last week, she lives in Nova Scotia, that my grandfather, on my father's side, actually went into the mines at 12 years of age. So both my grandfathers were coal miners. I was thinking, 12 years old. My grandmother on my mother's side was taken out of school in grade 4 to become a housekeeper. And this happened in Canada not that long ago. And my dad, of course, was a miner also. That mining family, there were 6 of us kids, 8 years from the youngest to the oldest, Catholic. So that is why there were so many of us in such a few years. I always think about university, my first day of university. My mom put me on a bus with one suitcase. And I remember she was kept grabbing my collar, and it said basically, don't talk to anyone. Don't talk to strangers. I'm going off on my own to university. And she's telling me, that's her advice. Don't talk to anyone. But you know what? I worked all kinds of jobs to support myself because I came from a family that probably people would say was poor. But it taught me to be resilient, like our COVID-19 generation that we have now, who have so much to overcome. You know, as a child, I had no idea what the future would hold and what opportunities were out there. And I think of myself as a Canadian dream. I'm truly what it means to be Canadian. The fact that I could go to university, let alone become president of a university. The fact I could come back to this province that I love and where I grew up as president of your university. So the story takes us a long distance from Lab City across the country, where I lived in 8 different provinces before I came home again. Now, I arrived here to take over the presidency, but COVID put a wrench in my story. I thought I had all these plans, but they all went out the window in March. I had to come early. I felt like I snuck away from Regina in the middle of the night because I had to self-isolate. We purchased a house here, no internet to work at home. I spent 5 weeks in an Airbnb downtown. I couldn't meet people. I didn't get to meet Mark and Kent in person till the end of June. So I didn't meet my vice presidents till the end of June in person. But I had to figure out a way. How am I going to connect with people? How am I going to tell people at Memorial that I'm here? I was perplexed. Then I thought, well, on April 1st, I'm going to do a video. I'd never done a video of myself before. I didn't know how to do one. So I thought I'm going to try it. It took me a lot of tries. I took one outside my Airbnb, posted it, and then I posted this. Look at that. Now, isn't that pitiful? Me trying, but it became the start of the new chapter in my life, a videographer. I did it so badly that I ended up giving that to my husband, Stuart, who's here. He took over for me. It provided a way for people maybe to get to know me, but also provide a way for me to get to know this amazing province. So I took it on the road. I put in more than 7,500 kilometers on my car. I traveled throughout the province and up to Labrador. even back to my hometown, where I kept making my husband take me to the house I grew up in, and I kept looking at it because it didn't look anything like what I grew up. But I just found it so amazing to be there, standing in front of my childhood home, doing that as president of Memorial University. So what did I learn on this trip? Well, I learned a lot. I learned that Memorial, as this province's only university, had a huge impact. But I had no idea how much of an impact it had. So while enjoying the gorgeous scenery and weather this summer in Newfoundland, it was very much, for me, a listening tour. And I listened, and I listened, and I learned. First, I learned Memorial is everywhere. As I said in so many of my little videos, it's in every nook and cranny. You can find Memorial connections wherever you go. Students who returned home because of the pandemic, some of them even tracked me down. Here's a couple who found me in Northwest River. Hi everybody, I'm in the Labrador Interpretation Center in Northwest River, Labrador. And out of the blue, I find two amazing Memorial students. So how did you find me? And tell me who you are first.
My name is Mackenzie Hutchings. I'm Olivia Nielsen. And yesterday I seen your Twitter post that you were meeting with Blake Rumble in Mary's Harbor and thought, oh gosh, she's coming here tomorrow. Maybe she'll meet with us while we're at work. So I just commented and thought, what's the worst that could happen? And you liked it first, and I got really excited, and then you replied. And we ended up finding a way to meet you today.
And what are you studying at Memorial?
I'm in my final year of a geography major with a sociology minor. I'm studying marine biology.
Marine biology?
Yeah.
At MI or on the main campus?
Just on the main campus.
The main campus. You know what? I want to say to all the MUN students out there, I think I'm so smart finding you, but students, you're so smart finding me. Thank you for choosing Memorial as your university, and you honored me by finding me and meeting up. Two amazing young Memorial students. Tales from the Road, MUN. So this is an example of the videos that I did all over the province. I found business people. I found municipal leaders who were alumni. I found Indigenous elders, some who are our honorary degree recipients. I found training going on from the Marine Institute in places like Lewisport and Stephenville and the South Coast. I found entrepreneurs who were starting up businesses, the Subsea Imaging in Carbonear, Big Land Networks in Lab City, Norseman's Restaurant. Everywhere I went, even breweries, including this fabulous one that I found in Secret Cove Brewery in Port-au-Port. Now, I got a little worried that I was posting so many videos on microbreweries, but they're out there, and they are Memorial. Everywhere I went, even in Labrador City, the microbrewery, the woman serving my husband, not me, was a soccer player, a Seahawk from Labrador, or from Memorial, so they were everywhere. The second thing I learned that is Memorial is there for the entire province. It has a unique mandate, supports not just students, but communities and regions. It has influence, even in places where you think there were no MUN facilities, the aquaculture on the South Coast, the mining in central Newfoundland, the medicine in northern Newfoundland, NorFam. Your university, Memorial University, is an economic driver, both in small communities and for the province as a whole. And I cannot overstate this enough. People are so engaged with Memorial, even when you don't wear a life jacket. On the Humber River, they find out. And they tell the news stations that put it on the news. Even in Nova Scotia, I had a call from someone in Halifax who said, I just saw you on the news without a life jacket on the Humber River. But this is a real commitment, a commitment to our university that our community has, incredible faith in the university and its importance for this whole province. The third thing I learned is Memorial is a multifaceted institution, much more than the campuses in St. John's. We have the Labrador campus, which is now the School of Arctic and Subarctic Studies, which is going to make such a difference for all of the Newfoundlanders and Labradorians in Labrador. We purchased a pie farm. We have a farm in Labrador. How many of you knew that? Looking at sustainable northern agriculture, how important is that? We have the Bombay Marine Station in Gross Moor, which is amazing. We have a firefighting training station in Stephenville, in which I rappelled down in white pants. We have a Holyrood Marine Base, Canada's multi-purpose cold ocean technology hub, and so much more. So then I came back to St. John's, and I thought, I know now how Memorial impacts this whole province except St. John's. So I decided to dive into it even more. I toured our buildings on campuses. I saw the incredible work happening inside it. I spent the past month visiting researchers in their labs. And here I visit Dr. Leslie James in the Hibernian Enhanced Oil Recovery Laboratory, her lab.
Hi everyone, Tales from the Road Mon. I'm here with Leslie James, one of our really esteemed researchers. And I want to share with you some of the work she's been doing. Leslie, tell me about the work you're doing in oil and gas.
So we're looking at trying to recover more oil from the same fields that we're producing from. So to increase the sustainability of the actual oil field in production.
So that's one of the goals, right, is to reduce all the carbon. And
Yes.
you're looking at carbon capture.
And one of the ways we're doing that is how can we use carbon dioxide in an offshore scenario to actually produce more oil, but to also sequester and store the carbon dioxide.
Important work. And look, a team from all over the world working with her. An economic driver for Newfoundland, our research is. Now, during COVID, you were on the COVID task force with Kathy Bennett, right?
Yes.
Now, what did your team and yourself, what did you work on there in your research?
So one of the things we realized, if we're going to actually design and manufacture PPE in
Tell
Newfoundland,
everybody what PPE is.
personal protective equipment, my masks, my glasses, medical gowns or isolation gowns if you're in a hospital setting. And so this was in very short supply, especially in the early days of COVID. So Task Force NL was tasked with the responsibility of trying to find innovative solutions to personal protective equipment here in Newfoundland. We've heard of Polyunity with the face shields. And there are also isolation gowns and masks being developed here. Then the question was, how do we actually ensure that they meet standards?
And that's what your team did. You
Yes.
did all the testing.
Yes, we did.
So not only an economic driver, not only working towards climate change and sustainability efforts, also here to help us during COVID-19. That's the kind of research that makes a difference in Newfoundland, right, Pat? Right, Leslie?
Yes.
You and your team, amazing, amazing work. Tales from the Road Month.
So I also visited the gorgeous Signal Hill campus and the many groups there, especially Genesis. I spent a few weeks meeting with Genesis clients and graduates. I had more Tales from the Road Mon. But here are some key facts for you. Genesis has generated $615 million in private capital, $200 million in annual revenues, and created more than 2,000 jobs in this province. Genesis is Memorial. You can see why I keep saying it's an economic driver. I learned that there are incredible things happening at our university. It's a world-class learning institute. And I want you to take a look at some of the facts that we have for you. We have 300 plus programs and the highest enrollment ever this semester. More than 19,653 at our peak. Students from 115 countries, almost 100,000 alumni who are all dedicated to Memorial and helping our students and this province. More than $130 million in research funding that's helping our people, our province, and the world. Taken all together, we are a powerhouse of opportunity. So looking forward, our foundation is strong, and now it's time to look into the future with excitement and with goals in mind. We continue to invest in our university to make it the best we can be. We're having a strategic planning process going on now, looking at identifying priorities and goals and to see what our future will look like. The vision of what we want to be that reflects the diversity and complexity of Memorial. We have had dozens of consultation sessions and many more planned. And hopefully some of you will get engaged and give your opinion. We're working with the federal and provincial governments on post-COVID recovery. So the biggest takeaway from this 6.5 months, with pride I can say that Memorial University is the most important institution in Newfoundland and Labrador and will be critical in post-COVID world. We're not an investment. We are an investment, We're not an expenditure. You know, one professor you hire at Memorial may bring in up to $1 million of research monies, which attracts students and researchers. We are your solution to immigration. What if we hired 20 such professors who brought in $20 million, who brought in researchers and students and their families? That's economic impact. Look at the success of our Genesis graduates, our business and initiatives throughout the province, supported by Memorial researchers and alumni, and our incredible students, resilient and positive, finding me in Labrador, seeking me out. Students who are made stronger by these difficult times. Can you imagine where they're going to lead us? As Premier Fleury said recently at the Alumni Tribute Awards, Memorial is and should be the very cornerstone of our society, a place where we can learn, grow, develop, and most importantly, safely dream about the future of Newfoundland and Labrador. When I think about Memorial, I cannot help but think about that young girl from Labrador who might come down here to St. John's for the very first time and see the world opening to her, a world with endless opportunity and changed future for her, her children, and her grandchildren. It's more than just a story. It's my story. It's so many of our stories. It's what Memorial means to me. It's about change and hope. And together we can make this storyline only get better. When I look back on this summer, the pride, the connection, the students, faculty, staff, and alumni feel for Memorial, I know we're in a good place. And I am so proud to be president of your university. Thank you.